All right, quick, before we all fall asleep, let's start the show.
It's called time. Welcome to Cordkillers, where we have a mission to help you figure out the stuff you need to know to watch what you want, when you want, where you want, on whatever device you want. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey, man, I'm Brian Brushwood, and that opening brought to you courtesy of listener, viewer, Eric Zings, who writes us, "Hi, Tom and Brian. Take a look, listen at this." He gives us a link to the video that we just saw a snippet of. It's 80 minutes of TV themes performed by the Danish public service station's classical orchestra. And then I just closed everything.
There's some Danish talking in between, but most series covered are ones I've heard you talk about on the shows.
Yeah, absolutely. No. And first of all, it's great. We heard a bit of the Twin Peaks theme with their take, but the whole thing is amazing. Like listening to them like give a serious musical orchestral try to the X-Files theme is something to behold. And more importantly, when I clicked on the link, it was not region locked. So look for that on the show notes, and you should be able to enjoy a little 80-minute concert.
Very nice. Even more important, joining us today on Cordkillers is Mulango. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Good to have you back. He has to contractually appear on Cordkillers regularly to maintain his ability to operate Team Cordkillers in our movie draft with Christy Gates.
This is true. Just filling out my quota. That's all.
Yeah, we're not going to judge your performance this year, mister. Look, we expect winners on Team Cordkillers.
I know I let you guys down, but like I said before, winter is coming.
Yeah, winner, W-I-N-N-E-R.
Yeah, you can't spell winter without dropping an N and replacing it with the T in winter.
Fair enough.
Or something like that. Anyway, let's get to our primary target. TiVo will deliver a last download of guide data for its 1999 model TiVos on September 15th. Customers will get a $75 Visa gift card to say, "Thank you for continuing to use your TiVo for 16 years. The boxes will continue to work. They won't shut off. They just won't have any guide data after September 29th, because on the 15th, they'll give 14 days worth of guide data. TiVo says there are still 3,200 Series 1 TiVos in active use. So, Brian, we can either look at this as, hey, look at that, man. TiVo kept supporting this for 16 years. That's pretty great. Or, screw you, 3,200 people. We're done.
Shh, you listen, Brown Eyes. We watched some movies and we knocked them dead, didn't we? Listen, I want you to look over there. I want you to look over there at all the TV shows. You're going to rate them. You're going to have triple thumbs ups. You're going to record them forever. Do you hear them, Brown Eyes?
No, don't do it, Brian. It still works. You just have to program things
I wish I knew that. Hold on, Brown Eyes, please. Yeah, man. This is my 1999. There were a couple of different TiVo Series 1s. There was a Philips one, and then this is the Sony one. And for about 20 minutes, they offered that lifetime service. It was a really short-term thing, and then they took it away in favor of everybody paying, $5 a month or whatever. But I never got rid of this because this has recorded on it like my first Tonight Show appearance and the Food Network appearance and so on. In fact, we were talking about this briefly before the show. In many ways, the Series 1 TiVo already, like 20 years ahead of time, delivered on so many of the things I want now. Because I remember on this Series 1 TiVo, I plugged in the name of actors that I liked, and I put John Stossel and Jack Black and stuff. And every time they would do a circuit of talk shows, it would automatically record all of those because it knew I liked it. And I don't understand how 16 years later, that's not a built-in common feature for everything.
Well, you can do that on. I mean, I could do that on my old DirecTV DVR that wasn't TiVo. It just wasn't highlighted very much, and it's really the online DVR on demand space that is going backwards. We'll talk about that a little later in the show. But yeah, I mean, that is still a fully functional TiVo you've got there. I mean, Mulango, lifetime should mean lifetime, right? Why is TiVo cutting this off?
It definitely should be lifetime. And I mean, as for me, somebody who doesn't have a TiVo, I actually this year, in thinking about cutting the cord, looked at the TiVo option. This doesn't make me want to get one now. I mean, I still like certain features, but compared with what Comcast and other DVR services are providing, it doesn't help to know that in 16 years it might not be supported anymore.
Well, okay, if you buy a TiVo Bolt today, then that would mean it would last at least through 2032 if it were to go 16 years. Brian, is that enough?
Well, and keep in mind, lifetime doesn't refer to your lifetime. It refers to the lifetime of the product. And considering the fact that I think it was $99 to get the lifetime subscription, and they're going to give you back 75 of those dollars, which, by the way, I assumed that I qualify for this prepaid gift card, right?
You should, yeah. I mean, you probably have to go contact them and say, I would like to claim it, and here's my proof that I own the TiVo. But yeah, why not?
Yeah, dude, I'm down for that. In fact, we'll report on that next week. I'm going to try to get $75, in which case, best deal ever. Zero complaints.
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay.
I don't know, man. Well, you say that because you're not using it. And I think that's the practical side of this, right? Which is, how many things from 1999 are any of us still using? Mulango, are you using any electronics from 1999?
No.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm not.
I still have my wife.
I mean, I still have.
1999.
That's not technology.
No.
Is she?
Technology.
Wait a minute. Is there something else?
Sorry.
No. Technology-wise, like I have stuff from 1999, but I don't still use it.
Yeah.
Well, wait. That LCD is from like 2001. Never mind. It's close. It's close. It's real close.
No, I got to tell you, it's an admirable run. I think they've done a really good job. I don't blame them for shutting it down, and to shut it down, and in doing so, offer to essentially give back 75% of the money you paid for the service to begin with. I gotta award full points for TiVo. They're handling this with a plum. Did I use that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Well,
they're also giving you $75 gift certificate and your selection of fruit.
A plum.
one piece of fruit.
How does it compare to like the new Bolt, like the TiVo Bolt compared to that first model?
Oh my gosh, no. Like to put it in perspective. Oops, sorry, I just hit the monitor, and Bryce just winced as though I punched him. You could see there's like literally just a yellow composite cable. There's an S video. That's as fancy as it gets. Here's the dial-up modem port right in there.
Yeah,
so
what's the capacity on that thing? Like,
do you know what?
Megabytes, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it was 40 megabytes. No,
Wow.
gigabytes? No. Hold on. How many? Yeah, no, I think it was 20 or 40 gigabytes. But, and be cool, because if I'm going to try to get the $75, they might screw me on this. I definitely had a friend who knew how to do Linux images and stuff, put in a 200 gigabyte hard drive in here. So we were able to yank that out and grow it.
All right. Well, yeah, okay, 40 gigabytes. It's not as bad as I expected. So, yeah, you could do standard definition only, though.
Yeah, correct. I mean, by virtue of that was the only inputs that you had was standard definition.
Yeah, unless you were really, really rich and there were no channels at that point. Like there might have been Discovery Theater, might have been.
No, 99. I don't even think.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't even.
Yeah, no, I don't think there was anything you could do. However, you know what you can do if you are really rich is you can head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
But yeah, if you get that $75 Visa gift card, you're gonna be flush.
Yeah, dude, you don't need all that cash that's in your bank account. Allow us to help you liquidate that. Head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers. Why don't you kick us $1 or $2 an episode? Hopefully, we're saving you hundreds of dollars a year by teaching you how to watch what you want, when you want, on whatever damn device you please. And we would love it if you would kick us a little bit of cash as a thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it is harder than ever to decide what to watch in this world.
Dude,
and we are attempting to help you figure that out.
Can we talk about that? Can we pull back the curtain just a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
We're actually seeing more and more that there are so many options to cut the cord that our job is increasingly, and please write us at cordkillers@gmail.com if you disagree, but we see our job as increasingly being as ambassadors to help you filter and figure out what to watch on we're all drowning in options here.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be our job was to tell you what Netflix is doing because that was all there was. Then it became, hey, this is how you can actually watch all the things you want to watch under your own control. And now it's becoming mostly like, what are all this mess of services and how do we make sense of it? But also, which services do I even need? Because there's so many good things, I can't possibly watch them all.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you want to support us, head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
All right, how to watch? That's what we talk about in Signals Intelligence.
It's true. It's not a lie.
No, it's not. And in fact, what used to be something I'd have to DIY has become more and more frequent. Netflix showing up in a hotel room on the hotel TV. And that's going to get even more widespread as Netflix is expanding their partnership with a company called NCO that does those in-room entertainment services. The partnership will now expand so that any hotel under contract with NCO anywhere in the world where Netflix has services will be able to carry Netflix. So they don't have to get pre-approval from Netflix about it. The Netflix app will appear on the TV. It will also have a Netflix button on the remote in some cases. And you'll be able to sign in with your Netflix account without having to pay for hotel internet. They promise to wipe your login out at checkout, although I'd still log out just to be safe. And they say that in the 19 hotel brands they've been testing this with, places like Marriott, Hilton, La Quinta, it is among the most used channels on their TV. And the hotels like it because, and this is something I wouldn't have expected, they not only see it as a perk that they can market, but also it frees up Wi-Fi for other uses. So this might actually improve your hotel Wi-Fi because there's a separate dedicated connection for all the TVs.
I like everything about this, except for I'm curious as to why it's necessary for me to log in. When I go to a hotel and they have HBO, they don't ask me to submit a copy of my cable bill. Like why can't they just offer Netflix for everybody? Why do I have to log in with my credentials in order to enjoy this?
Oh, I hadn't even considered that. I'm gonna guess that you could do a guest login, maybe.
That doesn't sound like it. Sounds like it's just an app that you log in with your own credentials. But frankly.
And if I'm not a paying Netflix subscriber, that becomes an issue. But I want to log in. I want to have the stuff tracked under my Netflix account so that I know what stuff I watched. I want to see my preferences and everything. Mulango, how do you feel?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I want to log in and leave off, start up where I left off and just continue in the ecosystem that I'm already in. So if I'm on, season whatever of Flash, it just continues at whatever hotel I'm at.
Okay, there is a value to that, but given that we're seeing Netflix's new subscriptions begin to stall, it seems like this is the kind of thing Netflix would want to work out so that they could put Netflix in the hands of people who otherwise wouldn't consider Netflix, right?
Yeah, no, that's a totally different aspect of this that I hadn't considered. And that's why I wonder, will they do some kind of limited preview for people? This article doesn't talk about that at all.
I got to imagine not, simply because that's an expense roughly on par with HBO. And if they were paying, if the hotels were footing the bill for a general guest account, I got to feel like they would have mentioned that.
Yeah, Face for Radio says he's just going to keep bringing his own router and Apple TV. I'm like, no, man, I don't want to have to do that. This is actually pretty cool. Although, yeah, I guess you could be worried about not properly being logged out or whatever.
Well, but I kind of agree with the first point you made there, Tom, is instead of me bringing my Chromecast to wherever I'm going, then now I can just log in when I get there. Yeah. So I think that I don't think they're targeting new acquisitions of customers. I think they're targeting people that already have a subscription. Agreed. Ease of use. I think that's what they're going for.
By the way, if you are worried about anyone else using your account, if you log into Netflix and you go to your account and you can sign out to view history, you can see all the way back to the beginning of when you establish your personal account under the Netflix banner. Apparently, one of the very first things I watched. Oh, let me. I can't find it. I've already forgotten it. But back to 2013, I was seeing some of the very first things that I had seen on Netflix.
So, Brian, I mean, I think you bring up a really good point about Netflix trying to use this as a marketing tool. And maybe that what they think is like, hey, people will want to sign up and we'll have free trials like we always have if they want to do that. Personally, though, would you rather sign in yourself or just have a guest account?
I probably would not sign in if there was a guest account that was on by default. I know what I'm in the middle of watching, and I would be concerned about leaving my login on a strange device. So it's like I would type in the get down. It would take all of 15 seconds, and then I would just start watching from there.
Yeah. You have a better memory than me. Because I'm always like, wait, what do I watch? How do I get to it? Oh, man, it's such a pain.
You're like,
I'm just
hold
not
on,
gonna
let
watch
me open up the Cordkillers document.
Right,
oh, that's
exactly.
right. That's right. I'm on 106 of Mr.
Yeah.
Robot.
All right, let's move on and gear the stuff up. Another way that we tell you how to watch what you can watch. Watch Air is an antenna that streams to your smart TV if it's running WebOS, Tizen, Android TV, or it's a Vizio. Can stream to your iOS and Android smartphones and tablets. Can stream to Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. Sends your over-the-air signal directly to your Wi-Fi router. That way, you can just have the antenna hooked up, and that's it. It has to plug into electricity, and that's it. Then it can broadcast your Wi-Fi. So it's kind of a combination of Tableau and the antenna all in one. They're doing a Kickstarter right now where you can pre-order for $149 while supplies last. And then they hope to ship in October and start selling them for $249. It comes with not only the antenna, but TV guide and 5 hours of recording built in, or you can put an SD card in there and get up to 25 hours of recording.
So there is DVR capability built in.
Yeah, there is. There's a small amount of that, and it's able to update the guide.
Man, I tell you what, on paper this sounds so good, but I'm so worried about, like, especially with it if it keeps the data on the SD card, I'm so worried about it being just that slow lag factor, you know, that thing that kills so many of these low-end devices experience, where you click and you have to wait, and it starts playing. And of course, I'm making that up, but like that was
nervous. My experience with some of these that we tried. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Huh.
Malango, what do you think of this?
I mean, I think it's cool just for the aspect of, you know, more ways to cut the cord and more ways to watch like things in places on devices. I mean, I think it's cool to like the example they showed outside with the thing on the screen.
The thing they showed outside with the thing on the screen.
With the projector. I think those aspects could be cool. It looks like a cool device.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to make it sound like it's an astonishing revolution in television, which of course that's what you want to do on a Kickstarter to get people excited. It really isn't all that different than, say, a simple TV or a Tableau, where both of them, you know, the cool thing was I can put this anywhere in my house where I get the best reception and then still watch it on my Roku connected TV. I don't have to have the TV near the antenna, and that is helpful. The cool thing that they did here is they put the antenna and the streaming device all in one.
Sure, and it is an achievement to be honored, and I'm sure that somebody will get it and be very, very excited with it. But I gotta tell you, $250. Like,
that's
I'm
steep.
running through all the other solutions you could buy for that amount. Up to and including, you know, almost a television with an antenna wherever you want it. So I again, step in the right direction. Price is a little bit steeper than I would have expected.
Well, and there's definitely a group of people who still love like HD Home Run and Plex and want to store and manage things locally, and there's good reasons for that. And maybe this is going to be a little more appealing to folks who want to operate that way. But a lot of people don't want to mess with storage. They just want to watch on demand.
Yep.
And at that point, they don't really care about having the whole DVR system.
Wait, they want to watch on demand. You mean watch live, watch whatever's live.
Well, no, just watch live or on demand. So I'm going to go to Netflix and watch. I'm going to go to Hulu and watch. I want someone else to store all this stuff, and then I'll access it. I don't want to have to keep track of it myself.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. That's how watch. Now what to watch in Under Surveillance.
Not like Davis tell you, it's all about location.
Under surveillance.
Just good news here real quick. Mr. Robot got renewed for a third season. I can't imagine they wouldn't have, but it's official now. You'll be getting another season of Elliot.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's a bunch of
Nice.
spoilers I wanted to spit out, but then I realized it's not spoiler in time. So, hey, good for you, Mr. Robot. Excited.
All the hacking and other things will continue in season 3. Are you watching it, Malengo?
I am not watching season 2 yet.
Wait,
I've
have you seen season 1 though?
Yeah, I saw season 1.
And you're just not watching season. I'm trying to reconcile these two facts.
Yeah, I know. It's this whole like the whole content bubble argument where there's just too much content out there.
And you would rather just burst it all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, makes sense.
There's a movie called Arrival that is based on Ted Chiang's Story of Your Life, that put out its first trailer. It stars Amy Adams and will open on November 11th. We actually read this for Sword and Laser, the book club that I run with Veronica Belmont. And the story is very non-linear. I don't want to say too much more in case people are super sensitive to spoilers, but it involves changing your perception of time. So I'm really curious how they're going to handle this story.
I mean, forgive me if I'm going to spoil by way of investigation, but when you say nonlinear, are you talking like Slaughterhouse-5 kind of just jumping around?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great non-spoilery example because it's not exactly the same thing as Slaughterhouse-5.
Sure.
But it's got those same literary type of elements where you're like, whoa, okay, how are you going to tell this linearly? Or The Martian even, where they in the book, they sort of leap you back at some point, and in the movie, they just kind of played it all out in real time.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, not real time. It was not a 2.5-hour ordeal for Mark
It was 186 days of movie. You didn't see the director's
You
cut,
actually sat and watched potatoes grow for a lifetime.
No, it's definitely not like that. But the short version is it's about trying to make contact with an alien race and figure out their language when you have no base of reference.
This is
how they
fantastic.
think or
One
speak.
of the most fascinating courses I got to take at the University of Texas at Austin, because I had a loosey-goosey thesis, I was able to take classes like Languages of Science Fiction, which was basically just a intro to linguistics course in disguise. But they talked about the different cop-outs that you can use for learning an alien language. And some of them were stuff like you can totally cheese out like Frank Herbert did with Dune, where it's just Arabic, and you just act like it's a different language. But specifically, like if you have to have a living being and a back and forth in order to solve a language. That's the reason that code talkers in in World War II, where it was an unbustable code because it was a living language with the Navajos. Whereas absent a Rosetta Stone, there's no way to get that back and forth and to understand exactly what everything means. I don't know. I'm really excited about this.
Man, Brian, you just sold this movie.
Oh, now you're in?
Like before, I'm like, is this just going to be an hour and a half of them saying, like, eat?
It's like the miracle worker. It's Wawa.
Me. Water.
Oh, man. All right.
Netflix said Monday it will stream Anne, which is an 8-hour miniseries based on the 1908 classic novel Anne of Green Gables. Why you would feel you need to shorten Anne of Green Gables, which is so iconic, to just Anne, I have no idea. But it's in partnership with a Canadian broadcast of the news show by CBC next year.
I totally understand why. Is because Anne of Green Gables has baggage. That means 7th grade required reading.
Oh, is it read as boring? Like,
correct.
It's
like
an assignment.
Exactly. Whereas you just
That's
say
why
Anne,
they
I'm
did
like, yeah, I'll watch
Seagull instead of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you totally make it make sense for me now. I totally get it. But yeah, Netflix in partnership with the CBC, so that's kind of cool. Gossip Girl creators Josh Schwartz and Stephanie Savage will bring Marvel's The Runaways to Hulu. So Marvel finally arriving on Hulu with an original. Comic Runaways was written by Brian K. Vaughan of Sega fame. Back in 2003, the art was done by Adrian Alfona. It follows superpowered teenagers who are fighting their parents who are members of a crime syndicate.
Dude, right on. Brian K. Vaughan, name one other streaming original that he did that didn't go well. Didn't he do Powers?
Did he do Powers?
Wait, was that his?
I don't know. I was thinking Fringe, but then you said online original, and I was like,
Saga is amazing. I've read Saga.
I mean, it's a fair point. Someone can make a great comic book and also make a not very great television show. He did Under the Dome too.
No, I'm sorry. It's Brian Michael Bendis did Powers.
Okay, I was like, I didn't think he had done.
Yeah, no. That's right. He did Y the Last Man, which was amazing.
Yeah, and Y the Last Man could be coming to television, or movie, but that keeps getting delayed or.
Yeah, that'd be a really good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? I mean, I understand Hulu needs to pick up like IPs, but it just seems like I don't know. My argument is always Netflix or Amazon for comic book stuff.
No, okay. I'm gonna take you to the mat here, Mulango. I'm gonna say the old adage: if you want to double your success rate, double your failure rate. And so, to me, the more scratch off lottery tickets we get of cool properties, I don't care how many of them turn out bad, because however many of them turn out bad, that means that many more will turn out good.
Oh, and by the way, just to clear up, in our Brian K. Vaughan discussion, we may have led some people to have the misapprehension that he is running the show. He just wrote the comic book that the show is based on. The show will be created by Josh Schwartz and Stephanie Savage, who did Gossip Girl.
Oh, man, that was a really great sentence until the last couple words.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, though, but these are two people who overheard people talking on the subway about gossiping and Gossip Girl, and we're like, hey, this is a great idea for a show. And they made a hit show that was super successful. So they seem to have a handle on teen culture, and they're doing a show about teen superheroes. Maybe it'll be awesome.
Yep. Nope. And that's totally fair. That was unfair of me to act like just because they did Gossip Girl and I don't like Gossip Girl, they don't know how to make good TV, because obviously they do, because Gossip Girl is super successful.
As part of our continuing endeavors to help you make sense of this crazy world of television that we have out there, we are at peak television. I heard it on The Economist. It's true now. What have you been watching, Brian?
Me? Dude, same thing you have. I watched the latest episode of The Get Down. I saw our latest episode of Justified. I watched Mr. Robot. I have, while we're on the road, for some reason, at some point, Bryce mentioned, or I got Bryce to confess that he hadn't watched hardly any Mr. Show. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden everything was Mr. Show I was showing him. A lot of it. And then unfortunately every sketch that I thought to tell him about turned out to be a sketch about the awkwardness of being gay. And I had to, at some point I'm like, hey, this is another Mr. Show. It happens to be about gay stuff, but just why it's also funny.
Oh, it also happens to be about producing television shows on the internet. It's also about somebody who lives in Austin, Texas. Yeah. I hear you. No, but nice. So Mr. Show, they're all on HBO?
Yeah, dude, they're all on HBO now. Although cool. I gotta confess, we
watched them on YouTube.
Yeah, we watched them on YouTube. They're all on YouTube. I mean, what's it matter? It's all standard definition.
Yeah.
And YouTube scales down nicely if you have a low bandwidth connection.
And they finally came out with the Great Minds episode that they had delayed in the wake of the Orlando shootings. Right?
Yes, also gay related. a lot of gay TV I've been watching lately.
What's wrong with that, Brian? I have also, as you mentioned, watched The Get Down, Justified, Mr. Robot. We watched a lot of the Olympics. Again, I feel like NBC did a bronze medal version this time where they've failed in the past, but I know a lot of cord cutters disagree with that because they had no way to authenticate. I think it's really stupid for NBC not to provide any way for people without a subscription television plan to get their content. There should be at least a partial way. However, I have PlayStation View, and you could authenticate with PlayStation View, so I took great use of their app. And as I mentioned on previous shows, love the Gold Zone, where they just flip back and forth between things as cool stuff happens. Also been continuing on to watch Parks and Rec, and I'm actually caught up now on Angie Tribeca, so I'm watching those as they come out in season 2.
Hey, real quick on the Olympics. We were at a lot of airports because we were traveling all this last week, and there was a number of places that had 4 at once. And I was astonished at how unwatchable 4 streams at once was.
With or without sound?
Without sound. All I could register is guy hits a volleyball, guy sinks a basketball, guy runs over a thing.
So they were watching the Gold Zone, sounds like.
Yeah.
And with sound, I loved it because even when I would see all 4, the sound would focus me on one and tell me what was going on. And then when they'd switch, I knew enough from hearing about it to go, oh, okay, so there's still 3-5 over there, but I'm getting the boxing match. Without sound, I could see where you just have no context for what's happening.
Yeah, well, it just breaks everything down to a series of animated GIFs, where you're just oh, thing, yeah. Another thing.
What have you been watching, Mulango?
Well, I did watch The Get Down, all of it. I finished it. I got back on Parks and Rec because I had a discussion with one of my coworkers about which show was better, Parks and Rec or The Office. And I was always of the Office is the better of the two. And he was like, no, you got to watch the whole thing straight through. So I watched Parks and Rec, and I will say it's good, but The Office is still funnier. And then I took a really dark path, and on Netflix they have Hitler and the Nazis. So I started watching that, and I finished
What is that? A
whole
documentary
series.
or a series?
Yeah, it's a documentary.
It's a how-to guide.
Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't a sitcom. That's all I was.
Which led to me watching Saving Private Ryan. So yeah, that's my arc.
Interesting. So a lot of like worthwhile historical investigation and all of Parks and Rec, just to prove that it wasn't better than The Office. I have to say, I don't know. I haven't made it all the way through Parks and Rec yet, but I'm finding it way better than I had thought, which everybody told me, and at least comparable to The Office. Like it's in the same space.
I think for me, the thing is, like, I work in an office, so it was easy to relate to those characters a lot better. Parks felt like more of a nice, not roller coaster ride, but a nice like stroll through their lives.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
I was listening to Freakonomics and Stephen Dubner? Levitt, I forget which one. The host was talking about how Parks and Rec was much like Master of None, fairly sweet compared to, The Office really thrived on that super awkward, cringy moments, whereas Parks and Rec was just like, I don't know, kind of adorbs. Did you feel that going through the whole series? Mulango?
Mulango, I think Brian's asking you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd watched it before, so it was more just like remembering things. So yeah, I kind of felt a little bit of that, but it's definitely enjoyable. I still follow the debate of which series ended better. So Tom, when you're finished, I'd like to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, for sure. There are definitely fewer of those cringeworthy moments in Parks and Rec. Not that they don't have some; they definitely go there sometimes. But it's not like it was every episode in The Office. They never turned away from it.
Yeah, well, I like that awkward humor though. So.
Yeah, I like it sometimes. It could get a little much, which may be why I'm liking Parks and Rec so much. I don't know, or maybe it's just Rashida Jones, and that's why I like Angie Tribeca.
She's pretty great.
Yeah, she is a beautiful unicorn, as Leslie Knope says in Parks and Rec. What have you been looking at there, Bryce Castillo?
Thanks,
on the lookout
Tom.
for?
You
Let me say the
beautiful
name of the segment properly. What are you on the lookout for, Bryce Castillo?
Hey guys, Philip sent us an email. He writes, "Hey guys, I had a suggestion for you, and that is River, which is streaming on Netflix. It stars Stellan Skarsgård as the eponymous London detective that the show centers on. He's got like it has this balance of like, is he seeing visions of dead people, or is he kind of got a mental illness thing going on?" Philip continues, "It's just 6 episodes and is in the same vein of BBC productions built around great actors like Luther, Top of the Lake, and Parade's End. These shows in general, and River in particular, are worth watching solely for the lead performance of an outstanding actor just doing some great work. River is a Netflix original co-production with the BBC and is available in all Netflix territories except for the United Kingdom.
Oh.
Can you believe it? It's also not on the iPlayer. So if you're in England or the UK, you have to buy River. It's 6 hour-long episodes. You can get that on iTunes or the BBC store. But I saw that in the tool. I was like, that is so weird. They don't even have it on iPlayer. So I'm a little lost. If you've got a suggestion for how you
Wait, it's a BBC production, but it's not on iPlayer.
Right.
Weird.
It's like a co-production sort of thing, right? Where Netflix, paid for it like they did with Between or.
So it's available on Netflix in the US. It's just not available on Netflix in the UK.
Right. Or on the iPlayer.
Or on the iPlayer.
Or available, essentially not available at all in the
Well,
UK.
I'm wondering, was it a BBC production for another network? No, it was on BBC One.
It was
Never
on
mind.
BBC One. It aired on BBC One. But you can buy it, and it's only 6 episodes, so maybe that takes away some of the sting of it.
Maybe that's it. Yeah. Well, if you got something we should be on the lookout for like that's one I hadn't heard about, and loved Skarsgård in Thor and in the Avengers. And he has so many amazing actor children like Alexander Skarsgård. I think it would be worth taking a look at, so I probably will. And if you got something we should be on the lookout for, you should email us, cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian.
Yeah.
Listen, until we get those people to cash their Visa cards in to support us at patreon.com/cordkillers,
Don't
we
talk
also have
about
to tell them
Brown
about
Eyes
the other
right
ways.
in front of her. She's right here. She's, what are you doing?
You don't have to go anywhere, baby.
It's okay.
I can
It's
still
okay.
get that Visa card.
Hey, man, yeah, there's a couple of different ways you can support us. You can, of course, head on over to Cordkillers or patreon.com/Cordkillers and contribute, or you can buy Tom's books or my possibly criminal artifacts. If you head on over to scamstuff.com.
Brand artifacts are not criminal.
Hey, man, you know what's cooler than having an exposed pin padlock that allows you to see the pins move as you learn how to pick a padlock, Tom?
Well, that sounds pretty awesome. How could something get better than that? Because that's gonna train
Building
right
your
up.
own exposed pin padlock.
What?
Dude, this
Nice.
thing's amazing. It comes to you. It's like a puzzle. You put it together. It's super simple. It takes 15 minutes. You assemble your very own kit, and you not only like you're pretty much a locksmith at that point. You understand how everything connects together. You can use it to practice with the lockpick pen, and it's available right now at scamstuff.com.
Not criminal.
Nice.
That's good stuff. Go check it out. Let's move on to the front lines.
Yeah.
There they are. A quick hat tip to High Tech Bill, who sent us some excellent stories to cover this week, including this next one. Reuters has a story about how more networks are doing what they call stacking. So if you want to learn a network buzzword, stacking is our word of the week. That means making all previous episodes of a series available on demand to cable subscribers, or as we call, sensible. That's what we call it around here. 54% of people in one survey said they would not start watching a show unless they could watch all the previous episodes. So networks are starting to get it, and Comcast is going to offer full season stacks of 60% of the original scripted series on its the networks it carries. That's up from 41% two seasons ago. And a source told Reuters one network saw a 3 to 11% rise in ratings after offering stacked shows. So something I thought made sense for a long time, which was give me access and then I'll probably watch your show live because I catch up, is starting to catch on.
Okay, but that assumes that what people want is here's the thing to realize. Cable networks are a lot like gym memberships in that gyms fully cannot handle the capacity that they sell. They're like banks. You know, banks are able to sell 10 times the amount of money they have cash on hand to lend out. Gyms are able to sell 10 times the capacity they could actually have. I would assume it's the same thing for on-demand content for cable networks. They don't actually want everybody going back watching all that stuff. So instead, you would want to have windowed content so that you can say the words, "We have Breaking Bad on demand," without actually having to have
Why would it be bad to have that on demand?
it would not be bad to
There's
have
no, you can't run out of content. It's not like a gym where you run out of space.
You pay for licenses, and there's a difference in price between having one
but
season.
we're talking about originals here for the most part.
Well, then I don't see how that changes anything. They still have to write a check.
I know what you're getting at, which is if it costs them more for more people to watch these things on demand, then they would want fewer people to watch them.
Correct.
I don't think that's the situation, though. I think these are things they have the right to air anytime they want.
At this point,
makes all the difference.
We're both making up stuff, and so I
let's put it this
suspect
way.
at some
I know
point
that with like AMC's Mad Men, they lock up the right to show AMC's Mad Men, for a period of time, as many times as they want. So it doesn't hurt them to put it on demand full season.
Yeah, but locking up the right does not mean unlimited views for free. I assume that the more of the content that
it absolutely does. They can make it after a certain period of time. They lose the right to show it. And when Netflix acquires a show, they pay a flat rate. They don't pay per view. They don't go and count the number of views. They say CBS will pay you this much to add Star Trek to our library for this amount of time.
Wait, is that right? How did I not know this?
That is right. That I know is right.
Okay, all right. Well, then I withdraw. Counselor, I withdraw my objection.
But that said, so what this is doing is turning cable companies into pass sellers, which is like, hey, I like Angie Tribeca, or I like Parks and Rec. Who is the network that has that on demand so I can go watch it in the back catalog?
Wait, but surely there's a difference in price between offering 8 seasons of a show and 1 season of a show. And if you're only doing it so you can market and say, hey, we've got this show.
If you own the show, then you can put it on demand. It doesn't increase your costs except maybe in bandwidth.
I've tried really hard to figure out any reason that they haven't done this before now.
They wanted to make you buy the DVDs.
That's the dumbest shit ever. I'm sorry. I'm
pretty
sorry.
dumb. I mean, going back to Breaking Bad, where the only reason I got into it was because I could binge watch seasons 1 through 3 on Netflix yeah, I was never gonna buy the DVDs, especially when the series wasn't over. So yeah, I don't know. This is crazy.
All right,
Good,
well,
good for them for finally realizing that that's what people want.
sure, good for us. In gadgets, Matt Bryan has written up instructions for seeing your viewing history on Netflix and Amazon. Netflix history can be found in a section of your account called Viewing History. This is what I was talking about earlier. You could delete items to remove their impact on recommendations. Amazon buries it in your account under personalization, where you click Improve Your Recommendations and then choose videos you've watched. You can then rate shows to fine-tune the recommendations.
I thought it was interesting, just out of curiosity, like you, to go back and look at whatever I have watched. But I really love the ability to go, oh yeah, I watched that, but I didn't like it.
But I deeply regret it. There has to be a deeply regret button that you can
absolutely.
press.
Well, I mean, does it count if you don't finish the series because you couldn't?
Oh, I'm
get
sure.
through
I'm
it?
sure it factors that stuff in, but I don't know how impressed they'll be with that. You know, like if you start it and you seem to care about it, I don't know.
Univision, which I am told it's like I should just call Univision and not put a Spanish pronunciation on it, doesn't just run the top Spanish language channel in the United States. It also owns The Onion and The Root, and it has provisionally acquired Gawker Media. Pending the decision of the bankruptcy court, Gawker today shut down Gawker.com, and it will not come back, according to them. But Gizmodo, Lifehacker, IO9, the other sites that Gawker owned will continue, and they will be Univision properties from now on.
So why, help me understand this, Tom. It's not like Gawker is an independent LLC that's a wholly owned subsidiary of Gawker Inc. It's like these are all just brands underneath one company. Why would you shut down that brand? Is it just a tainted name?
Yeah, I think that must be it. And I'm curious behind the scenes if it was something Univision wanted, or if it was something Nick Denton said, well, if I'm not going to be around, there's no more Gawker. And I can't imagine Univision would have had too big of an objection to it because of all of the controversy around it.
Yeah, makes sense. Amazon has begun posting pilot episodes from 10 of its shows on YouTube and Facebook Live. Shows include Transparent, Mozart in the Jungle, Bosch, Red Oaks, and Man in the High Castle. I had to read this twice before I realized, thanks to you pointing it out, Tom, that the significant part was not that they were offered for free because they've been offered for free before, but that they were offered on other platforms, to which I had the same thought as with the cable thing. Why were they not doing this all along? I don't understand.
I mean, I'm curious, Mulango, do you think this will make more people go subscribe to Amazon Prime, or is this just to get more exposure to what's available out there?
I mean, I think it's to get more exposure. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of like a trick question, because I've watched a lot of those series on Amazon, and I think it's great marketing to say, hey, everything that people are talking about, check it out for yourself on YouTube or whatever, and see for yourself why you should, join Amazon Prime. But I kind of feel like if you don't have it, you wouldn't care in the first place. So
or like if it's on your radar, then presumably you would just go to Amazon and watch it for free. But
yeah.
I guess that's
I
the
could
thing.
see Amazon saying we have a lot of people who subscribe to Amazon Prime for shipping who just don't realize that they can watch this stuff. Let's find them in another place, and even though we're not making more money, we'll keep them because now they'll start to understand we have all of these cool things.
Yeah, I guess ultimately though, like if I wanted to recommend it, I would just say Men in the High Castle. Just look it up. It's free. It's great. And then previously, there's a lot of people who would type it in and they don't see it on YouTube, and they're like, "Well, I thought he said it was free. Maybe it wasn't." And then they don't look. I don't know.
Yeah. HD Home Run's DVR software is a big hit with people looking for a replacement for Windows Media Center. It can now help folks who wish their Xbox could act as a DVR, which Microsoft has sort of hinted they would do, but now they said they're not going to do it yet. You'll still need an HD Home Run PC, or perhaps have it running on an Android TV or your network attached storage. But if you have that, you now have an app for HD Home Run on the Xbox One, which can access that DVR and control it just like it was there on the Xbox.
Awesome.
So there, HD Home Run fans, and we know you're out there, who have an Xbox, go
argumentative guys listening, shouting at your podcast player.
Let's see some dispatches from the front now. Maybe there's one of you emailed us. David Pick from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin wrote, I've now watched all the new Amazon pilots. They were posted on Friday. So Jean-Claude Van Johnson, which is about Jean-Claude Van Damme, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, who has an alternate ego as a secret agent called Jean-Claude Van Johnson.
It's going great. Sounds great. I'm sure in the boardroom this sounded awesome.
Yeah. There's The Tick, which is getting made again. I watched the first few minutes of that. It looked pretty good. And our emailer, David, said, I will watch I Love Dick after work tonight. That is a show about a guy in a town named Richard. They call him Dick for short. Not kidding about that. My frustration with these pilots is not the content or the format, writes David. I just don't recall Amazon ever asking in their survey on what are your favorite shows ever, because he completed the survey dutifully after he watched the pilots. He said, then they ask why these pilots are greater or worse than your favorite shows. It just seems that this kind of questioning sets these up for failure, as each one is seen as slightly worse than Battlestar Galactica. But it's really unfair comparing a 30-minute pilot to a 4.5-season show. I'm hoping somebody can reply and let me know if Amazon has asked this kind of question before in their pilot survey.
Yeah, I think his logical mistake, David, is that you're thinking in terms of that they actually care whether or not any of their shows are better than your favorite shows. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they don't expect any of their pilots to be better than your favorite show. But my guess is over thousands and thousands of surveys, some behavioral psychologist has pointed out that having a peg to get people to think in terms of a percentage of how close this is to the best thing or some concrete example helps out to get more specific responses is all this boils down to.
And it could also help them identify who to market it to. So if a bunch of people say Battlestar Galactica and rate a particular pilot a little higher than people who said the Gilmore Girls, then they're like, oh, okay, this definitely appeals to that segment.
Specifically, David was complaining that they don't ask you what your favorite show is. So all they ask is, how does this compare to your favorite show? And he's saying, well, what's the point of that?
No, I think he's, maybe we're misreading this, but I thought he was saying they are asking you what your favorite show ever is. Then they ask why these pilots are greater or worse than your favorite show.
He says, yeah, I just don't recall Amazon ever asking in their survey on what your favorite shows are ever. Then why ask if these pilots are greater or worse than your favorite shows?
Then ask why.
Right. Well, shoot. Now we're going to need an explanation email because I'm reading it.
David, you need to write us back.
Yeah. Maybe he's saying that they have a question where they ask how you compare it to your favorite shows, but they don't ask what your favorite show is.
That's the way I
read it
this.
as I don't recall Amazon ever asking me to tell you the favorite show or whether it's greater or worse than your favorite show.
That's not how I read it, but I'm sure we'll get a follow-up email at cordkillers@gmail.com. In the meantime, it says, I was talking with the girl who works at Hulu. She said, this is anonymous, by the way. We got an anonymous tip, Tom. I was talking with the girl who works at Hulu. She said they get the first preview of what they're doing for the Hulu streaming channel today. She said that currently she knows it will have an online DVR, but it doesn't have the details, or she doesn't have the details yet as to if there will be any restrictions on what can be recorded or if time limits and such. But if it isn't easily integrated, it would seem like a non-starter. She was pretty open about this as there have been so many press leaks, but just in case, don't mention my name if you say anything on the air. Don't worry, I won't. Xander.
Also, don't mention that I told you not to. No, he doesn't.
Yeah. Not sure if she was speaking out of turn. That'll be really interesting. I think that if it had the DVR component, it has the chance to overtake Sling.
Look, we don't know if this person even has a friend who works at Hulu, so we can't say for sure.
We don't even know if this is the person. Might be a bot.
This could be a bot.
We're big with the bots.
This does jive with a bunch of the other leaks that we've seen out there. And my guess is Hulu hasn't finished all of the contracts and deals, and so they don't know what they can get away with as far as their online DVR goes. PlayStation has very restricted DVR aspects, but one thing they were able to do is get everybody to agree to a 28-day storage of the DVR stuff. They also allow you to fast forward your online DVR things. What Hulu should be able to do is say, hey, there's no law that says we can't do an online DVR. The question is, will they then have people say, well, then fine, we can back out of this negotiation because you're not covered by MPVD FCC rules.
Right.
This one is from Gregory, who says, I'm constantly scouring the net to find interesting tidbits on cord cutting and specifically over-the-top live streaming services. To compare the channels available, I put a linked spreadsheet together. Needs a little more refining, but your viewers may find it useful. And we'll have a link in our show notes at cordkillers.com to this spreadsheet. He says, in my estimation, PlayStation Vue is still the best by nearly every metric I care about except mobility and the name and the lack of a desktop app. It is ridiculous that they launched nationally with PlayStation in the name. Nearly everyone I speak to about it says, I might try it, but I don't have a PlayStation. How about just Sony View or just View or Sony Livestream or Sony Dream Stream? Anything without PlayStation in the name.
That's a good point.
I would point out that in his document, he has Hulu listed because he also must have a friend who, no, he said, I'm listing Hulu based on what I've seen of the leaks. That is way unconfirmed. Don't trust that because we don't know what Hulu will deliver in the end. But the comparison of the PlayStation Vue and the orange and blue versions of Sling TV are great.
Just now, I went to tinyurl.com and made tinyurl.com/cord guide. You can just head right over to there.
Thanks for putting that together, Gregory. That's awesome. And I kind of agree that I am turning to PlayStation Vue more often than Sling TV, but also I am having that same thing where I tell someone about it and they're like, oh, but I don't have a PlayStation. And I have to go, no, you could do it on a Roku. You can do it on a Fire TV. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, that's a weird branding mishap. Like, I understand, like, in the short term, you want to derive the benefit from the positive branding of PlayStation, but that's going to bite you in the butt when you're trying to get more people to jump over.
I mean, they launched it on the PlayStation, so it totally made sense to me then. But now that they've expanded beyond, maybe just tweak it.
Chris writes us, Tom and Brian, Comcast upped my rate again, so it was time to go for the Chicken Challenge again. Dude, How long has it been since we've had Chicken Challenge reports? This is amazing. Long story short, I was successful, but not in the way I imagined. I started out calling Comcast and had no luck getting my deal back to what it was before, so I did what any reasonable person would do in 2016. Complain on Twitter about my bill going up. Imagine my surprise when the Comcast Cares account replied me and asked if I would follow them so we could exchange DMs. Using an exchange of DMs, I was able to get back my previous deal and lock it in for 2 years. That included free HBO for another 2 years, and then to top it all off, they added 2 years of Showtime for free as well. Comcast justifiably gets a bad rep in regard to customer service at times, but their social media team was fantastic to work with. I just wanted to share another path for all your listeners to try to get a better deal via the Chicken Challenge Twitter. Who would have thought that would work out so well?
And then we got another Chicken Challenge email. The person called Cox to say they were canceling in favor of HBO Now and Hulu, and Cox gave them a starter pack of cable plus HBO and Stars for $12 a month. So now they just went and logged in to all the network apps and got rid of Hulu, and they can log into HBO Go because they have a subscription. For $12 a month, it's actually cheaper than HBO Now.
That is amazing. If you guys want to chime in, hit us up at cordkillers@gmail.com. We read all of that stuff, and I do my best to respond to everyone. But more importantly, how can we see more of your lovely, lovely face, Mulango AE?
You could follow me on Twitter, Mulango AE. I try to post a lot of stuff related to movies coming out and just movie draft related things. And you could also, that's the best place. I would say that.
Go check that out. Thank you for being with us, Mulango. Thank you for being with us, everyone. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We will kill your cords again next week from Japan.
What?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
That's where I'll find out. I'll let you know.
Nice. Hey, guys. Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cord Killers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
let's go.
It's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.